Welcome to the TaylorMade Tour Truck. We are here at the Made in Himmerland, Denmark. My name's Thistleton, I'm a TaylorMade Tour rep, and I've got a driver order for Thorbjørn Olesen. So join me at the workbench and we'll get cracking on this driver order. We spoke with Thor last week. I don't know if you saw that content where he described to me how he likes his driver to sit. So I've added all that kind of detail, and obviously we've worked with Thorbjørn for a long time now, so we know kind of what head, what shaft, exactly the length, the grip he uses, every little detail about that club, like 9-degree head, but he needs it to play at 9.75. If I give Thorbjørn a 9.25 or a 10-degree driver, he's gonna know. He's gonna see the difference in the performance, the difference in the spin. So it's critically important that I get it on the right setting, the right loft, exactly the right length. Any little detail that's out, and these guys are gonna pick me up on it. So first thing we're gonna do, based on the details I've written out here, is we're gonna go to the drawers and select a head. So I'm gonna pick a kind of higher lofted head here, and one that sits just a little bit closed on the face angle. So he likes it to sit kind of fairly square to close. That was one of the details he picked up on last week. He likes to hit the ball right to left. So we're gonna pick one with a face angle that's fairly close. This FA here is face angle, the loft obviously is loft there. So I'm looking for one, here you go, 9.8, so that's going to be perfect. Just has a little square face angle, minus 0.6. This head's going to be perfect. Okay, so we're over here at the shaft rack. So I know the shaft Thor needs for his driver. He's obviously got his own slot up here, just like most of our staff guys have. Mostly that's iron shafts, just so we know we've got a backup of all iron shafts, because as you can see, we've got a big selection of wood shafts here. And Thor uses a pretty common shaft for us here on tour. So I'm going to select that one. He's in the AV white 65, so we've got that one. So once we've got selected our head, we've selected our shaft, obviously the next component of that order is going to be the grip. You can see just here again, just like the shaft slots, we've got separate grip drawers for all of our players. Also, you can see Thor here right on the bottom, so he's using the Lamken 3-gen grip. So we'll pick that out and we're ready to build. Okay, so last component here is the sleeve. Again, a little added extra in the fine tuning details on the Tour products. We get the 1-degree sleeves, the 1.5s, the 2s. I can see from the order I've written out with Thorbjørn here, he's using a 1-degree sleeve. So that's all our components set and ready on the workbench. We're ready to build. So the first step in this process is going to be tip cutting the shaft. So I can see he has a 1-inch tip on a 10C AV65 TX shaft, pretty strong piece. So we're going to mark this off. Doesn't matter where we put it here, but I'm just going to mark off 1 inch on there. You can just about see that there. That's 1 inch tipping. So it's safety glasses on and line it up, and away we go. So that's 1 inch cut off the tip. Next thing we're going to need to do is just sand belt grind the tip a little bit here. So we're just going to move over to the next machine. Just rough up the surface so that glue kind of really bonds to the sleeve. That's it, nice and easy. So that sleeve's just going to sit over that tip. The glue's going to bond nicely there. So we just set up, like I say, it's Monday morning here, so we're fresh, no glue. This will probably be full by the end of the week once we've got all our builds. Throw in a little bit of this shaft beading. And then I just use the tip there to really give that glue a good mix up. Once it's bonded, it's going to set off in about 10 or 15 minutes. I've got the use of this heat rail here, which is just going to speed up that process. But this is kind of glass beading or shaft beading, we call it. We add it to the glue. It kind of cuts into the graphite and just really gives it a firm hold. So I can see here with that 1-degree sleeve that we've already pre-selected, CT setting standard upright. So where we've got our upright lie, we're going to put that in on the standard upright. Click that in, wind it up, just torque it up tight. There we go, 1 click. And then you don't need too much glue to get this bonded. So we just put a little wrap around the end of the shaft there, the bit we've sanded down, a little bit in the sleeve. And then we just twist it in so we can just get that glass beading kind of grinding into the graphite. So we take a little tissue here just to wipe off the excess. So that's nice and neat. There we go. So we know it's on the right setting. We've got the right sleeve. Next thing for me to do is just line up these graphics. Give it a little tap. And there we go. We set it on that heat rail. and that feels nice and firm in there, so there's no twisting or movement. I know that glue is set. Then we put it into our kind of custom made rulers here, which just seat that driver right in the center of the head. So the measurement, a lot of people always wonder, you know, where the measurement's from. Is it here? You know, is it just the shaft? It's always from the center of the head there. So when we seat this in the ruler, it seats up to the center of the head. So that's the same for irons, same for woods, same for putters. So we can see from my order sheet here, the length of the driver is 45 3/8 of an inch. So we're going to cut 1/8 of an inch under that. So we're going to cut at 45.25. That just allows a little 1/8 of an inch there for the butt of the grip there, which we call it. So we'll always make that cut, an 1/8 of an inch under. So we can just mark that off there. Nice straight line at 45.25. Fire that blade up again. Line it up, and away we go. There we go. Right, a little bit excess there. We're just going to grind that down. There you go, we've got a nice straight cut there, right on the 45.25 mark. So next step in the process, we'll grip this up and check the final details, the swing weight, the loft and lie, things like that, and then we're ready to go. Over here at the gripping station, club's clamped in, face is lined up. I always get 2 grips, so obviously one for putting on the club. Another thing we do, we obviously want to make sure the grips are stretched down evenly. So it's one little detail, and just again, a little fine detail. It's very easy to overstretch or understretch the grip when you're putting it on a club. So I know from the spec sheet that we're going to do 2 tapes on this grip. So there's the first one. No lumps or bumps. We just overdo just a little 1/4 of an inch over on the first wrap, just so we stop all the fluid running down the shaft. And like I say, we're doing 2 wraps on this grip. So second wrap, nice and even. No lumps or bumps. All right, we've got our grip fluid pedal down here. So we're going to fill that grip. There we go. Evenly distribute the fluid all the way down the shaft, covering every bit of that sticky tape. So we've got 2 wraps on there, and we also know that the logo is down from the spec sheet I filled out. Obviously some players like the logo on top, some players like the logo down. We know for this order in particular, we're going logo down. So there we go, grip goes on nice and easily. But you can see how easily the grip stretches up and down. So that's what this second grip is for. So when I line up, you can see, look there, we're quite a long way short. So that's one of the little details that a lot of people will miss. It's just evenly stretching those grips down so they all feel the same thickness, if you like. So there we go, we're lined up. The 2 hoops, if you like, down the bottom of the grip are lining up perfectly. A little wipe off the excess fluid. We're just going to put that down now. Make sure that grip's nice and straight. A little tweak. Getting towards the end of the process now, one of the final steps, obviously, we're going to need the weight of the driver to be right. Not only the weight, but the center of gravity as well. So where Thor likes that weight to sit. I know from speaking to him last week and from obviously working with him historically, he likes that weight to be in the heel. He likes to hit the ball right to left. Always has to see a right to left ball flight. So whichever weight we end up with, we know we're going to have that in the heel. So we've got our standard weight set up here, the 15 in the front, the 15 in the back. So first job is I'm going to throw that on our swing weight scale and see where we're at now. So we're actually pretty close. This is coming out D0. Again, I know from the order sheet we need to get this to D1.5. So we're going to need to add a few grams of weight to this. So first step is going to be, this is where a little bit of maths comes into play. We've obviously got a few weight skews here, but I know he's going to like a heavier weight up the front. So one of the, again, the kind of cool things that we have here on the TaylorMade Tour Truck is we've got lots of different skews of weights. So there's the 15 going to go back in there. And there we go, we've got an 18. So that's adding 3 grams of weight to the front of this. It's going to bring the center of gravity forward. It's also going to have more influence on this left to right kind of draw fade bias sliding weight. A slightly heavier weight in the front. It's going to help us with that draw shape that we know he likes to see. So let's load that weight, torque it up all the way into the heel. and recheck the swing weight. So we were at D0 before. We're just over that now at D2. I'm gonna take a little bit of weight out of the back here. So I'd rather keep that heavy weight forward. The weight being forward in the head, kind of, like I say, it moves that center of gravity forward, it keeps the spin down, it has a lot more influence then on this sliding weight. So a little bit different, you know, the slower swing speeds, they might need a little bit more weight at the back for a little bit more spin. That's what some guys like to see. But I know Thor, he likes to hit a draw, but kind of low spin shot. So we're gonna keep that center of gravity forward, just lighten the back very slightly, and we should get close to our D1.5 swing weight. Torque that one up, and we check the swing weight again. Okay, so we're just reading actually a little bit under there. So I've got a heavier weight skew for the front. I think we just up that to the 20, and I think we're going to be perfect. So again, we're just keeping that weight as far forward as possible. So once we load a little bit more weight in that front track, I think we're going to be right there. So we're going to change that 18 gram weight for a 20 gram weight. Approximately every 2 grams is going to be a swing weight. So we're going to load that in the heel like we said before. And I think we're going to see our D1.5 swing weight, center of gravity nice and forward in the head. Perfect, there we go, sitting there right at D1.5. So we've got our swing weight, we've got our shaft glued, cut, tipped, cut to length. We've got our 2 tapes with the logo down. All the details of this club, we've obviously pre-selected the head because we know the loft is going to be accurate. We know the face angle is sitting nice and square to even a little bit closed. It's very, very important that we give these guys something very close to what they're used to and what they like to see. It's one of the kind of details we're working with these tour players week in, week out. This guy might like to see it sit a little open, another guy see it sit a little closed. This guy likes a D5 swing weight, this guy likes a D1. So we know those details as we work more and more with the players. So we're going to get closer with that first effort. So when we first put that driver in their hands, we're going to give it, it's going to be very close to what we know they like and they want to see. Because just check off the loft and the lie. Very, very commonly used bit of kit on our TaylorMade Tour Truck here for measuring loft and lie on woods. It's just, again, it's just another method for us to really fine tune the details with these tour players, the best players that we're working with. Like I said right at the start of this build, every 1/4 of a degree matters. So if I'm a 1/4 of a degree over or under, these guys are going to know and they're going to see it in their ball flight. So it's vitally important we get this as close as possible. So we line these grooves up nice and square. We can see this is centered off, and then we're going to check that loft. So there you go, we're on just over 9.5. I know from the build we were 9.75. I would say this is on about 9.6, very, very close. And the lie is coming out at, let me just check that. That lie is coming out at just under 61. So I think this is very close to a good finished product. And obviously we've got adjustment there. So I'm gonna go and take this out to the driving range once we're ready to go. The details of this driver now is around 9.5, 9.6 loft, 61 lie. I know based on his gamer it's 61.5 and 9.75. That's very, very close. But obviously we've got all the adjustability features of this driver. So I can, like we've talked about with the weight, we can move the weight forward or back to kind of change spin. And obviously I've got all the weight settings on the FCT sleeve to play about with here. But this is very, very close to a good finished product. Thor's going to put that down. It's going to feel like his own driver. So when he arrives, I'm going to take this out to the course, out to the range, and we're going to get hitting.